Today I'm going to start a brand new project. It's actually for my wife. She asked me to build an end table that'll be placed in our study. And the only requirement that she requested is that it's an elliptical shape and there's some cherry incorporated. And for me, those are the best kind of projects to build when you have full reign what you can do. So what I did is I went out and I bought some. This is called Mappa Burl. I'm going to use this for the top, and it's very thin. And what you do is you glue this onto a substrate, and this is going to be the top of the table. In order to accomplish that, I'm finally going to be able to use my vacuum press. This will be used in conjunction with a vacuum bag. You'll see that later on in the video how I use that. So, like I said, it's the first time I'm doing this, so I'm sure I'll have my challenges. But looking forward to starting this project, and let's see how it goes. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting out the elliptical shape for the tabletop. This is a jig that I created, actually built. So this will allow me to have on the short end 20 inches wide and about 28 inches long. And what I'm doing is I'm cutting through MDF. MDF is going to be my substrate for the top. Now I'm just going to the bandsaw. I'm just cutting off the edges so that I can later on move on and use a router bit to trim off the edges so it's perfectly in elliptical shape. So now I'm on my router and I have a trim bit set up, and what it allows, as you can see on the wheel, to basically ride along the top edge, and I can trim off exactly so it's flush, and I'll go all the way around. So here I'm just double checking to make sure everything is fine. And just slowly rotate it around until it's all complete. So here I'm setting up my vacuum press system. First time I'm using it. So I got the vacuum bag, and now I'm trying to insert the baseboard, and just trying to slowly feed it into the bag itself. All right, I want to talk real quickly about the vacuum press system I have here. This is the first time I'm using it. So you saw in the video, struggling a little bit maneuvering this in there. But anyways, sample that I had was the actual one I'm going to actually use to glue onto the top of the end table. But anyways, as you can see here from this, hopefully you can see it, it's really wavy, and you need to have this thing completely smooth, and not smooth, flat, in order to glue it onto your substrate. So the way you do that is you wet it down, you put it between two substrates, and I used a paper towel to absorb the water. The solution is more than just water. And then you draw a vacuum on your system here. It pulls out all the air, and the pressure basically compacts this. And you should, I think I'm going to leave it for a couple hours. And once I take it out, that should be completely flat. And basically we'll be repeating the same process. This is the end table top, okay? Except the next time I'll be gluing this, and then I'll be applying the Mappa Burl on top of that, and go through the same process again, having this piece substrate on top of that, provide that compression and allow it to dry. It takes maybe 4 or 5 hours. And when it's all done, then that permanently adheres to the top of the end table. So whenever you're laminating, the one thing that you need to do is, if you're laminating the top, you also need to laminate the bottom. To be very critical, otherwise you get a warping effect. Even though MDF is very strong, you still need to laminate the bottom portion. So what I got here is a couple cheaper strips of actual maple that I purchased, and I'll be laminating that on the bottom. So here I'm still working on the bottom. So what I did is I taped the 3 strips of the this is the cheaper maple for that's going to be laminated on the bottom. And what I'm doing is I'm going to got to glue the seams so that it becomes one big piece. So when I laminate, and here you can see I'm actually getting it set up to glue the other seam together. So a bit tedious, but anyway, so once you apply the glue, obviously you can have glue out, squeeze out all over the place. All I was doing with the paper towel, I just wet it down to clean up most of the glue. And all you want to do is have the corners actually glued together. So a bit of a tedious procedure, but necessary in order to complete when you have such a small strip. Whereas the Mappa Burl that I have for the top, that's actually just one piece, which makes it easier, and I don't need to go through this this process. Here I'm speeding up the process, and this is actually the glue up of the laminate on both sides. So I did the maple initially, and then I did the Mappa Burl on top, and here I'm actually feeding it right into the bag, getting things set up to pull the vacuum. So I got a bit of a problem here. So this, let's see right here, this overlaid right here, it's causing this to bevel up. So I had to turn it off and see if I can real-line this thing again. I think I should be okay, but I gotta redo this here. All right, I scrambled. This is a secondary one that I had left. So hopefully that should take care of my issue. Lesson learned, whatever the dimension of what you're trying to compress, make sure whatever you're compressing it has to be the same, at least from the top standpoint. So hopefully that should be, that should take care of it. All right, I had to scramble a little bit there. I had several issues with getting this all set up. So the one mistake that I learned is when you have pieces, make sure that they're actually the size that you need, that you're trying to compress. So what I had done is I had put it this way, and then I had another one on this side over here. We ended up having the pressure just collapse the sides here and causing the center to rise up. So obviously you're not going to get equal pressure on the surface, which is obviously a problem. So pull that all out, and I had another piece here. I had 2 of them, and so I just laid that on top of there. So now the pressure is equally distributed along the same shape as what the top of the end table. And the other mistake I had it on continuous mode. So I got automatic, where it automatically shuts down. It cycles on and off depending on the pressure. I accidentally had it on continuous, so it was constantly drawing out the air, which was causing the base substrate here to start bending, as you saw in the other video there. So everything looks like it's okay now. I'm gonna leave for probably 5 or 6 hours, maybe all night. But that's the way it goes. Learned next time I won't make that mistake again. Are you ready? It's so cool. looks pretty good. I'm going to cut this around, and then I should have trimmed this, but lesson learned. Looks great. Here what I'm doing is getting on the bottom part, getting the rest of the tape off, and then I'm going to start sanding it to get it nice and smooth, and then flip it over on do the sides, clean everything off, and then just continue with sanding. I'm sanding with 220, I believe, and I'm doing basically the same thing on the top also. So I'm looking at inspecting for any type of squeeze out. So when you're dealing with Mappa Burl, you see a lot of, I guess, crevices and holes, and what you have to do is actually got to go through and fill them. So I'm filling that with a wood putty. It's actually a mixture of 3 different types that I picked up at my local woodcraft store, and I'm just basically filling all these voids. So this, I believe this entire process took me about 3 hours in total. I didn't do it all in one sitting, but it's this part's pretty much labor intensive and very tedious, but in the end the results are incredible. So you're just trying to fill those voids, and then what you'll end up doing is then sanding it down. But yeah, it's just a long process to get this thing to look right. And if you have any experience with Mappa Burl, this is the first time I'm using it, you realize why people charge you a lot of money for it. Not only because it's expensive, but it's very labor intensive to do it right. All right, I did some test samples here. This is using Osmo, this is using a lacquer, and this is using a Rubio Monocoat. And in each case, the substrate, the burl, actually gets like a yellowish color. It's actually worse with the Rubio Monocoat. Lacquer looks okay, and the Osmo just a little yellow. And if I flip this over, I did a polyurethane water-based. The other ones are like an oil, and this seems to retain the color. It doesn't turn out. This is actually bleed through from the other side there. So I think I'm going to use polyurethane to do this, because the customer wants to keep it as close as possible as the way it looks right now. So right now, yesterday I spent the day, well, not today, a couple hours filling in all these little, you can see with burl you have all these holes there. So it's a wood filler, and now I'm going to sand it down and then follow up if there's any other additional holes I need to fill. So here I cut 2 thin strips of cherry, and one is a backup. So what I'm doing is I'm sanding it down to a very thin strip. I don't recall what the thickness was, but anyways, this is going to be used to wrap around the MDF for the top of the elliptical tabletop. I think the cherry will give it a nice accent as it ages over time. And as you know, or possibly know, as cherry ages and exposed to sunlight, it actually gets darker. So I think this will give a nice contrast. So like I said, I got 2 pieces. One is just as a backup, and I will, in the way I'm going to bend this around, is I'm actually going to have to steam the wood. So you'll see that later on in the video how I do that. All right, this is the steaming unit that I built the other day. It's just a long 4-inch PVC pipe. I think it's 9 feet, more than enough to accommodate this piece of cherry that I want to steam in order to bend it. And this is going to be, this is going to go along the edge, all the way around the edge of the top of the table. It'll give a nice finish. So let me go back to the chamber here. So basically these are pegs right here, and these pegs go all the way through to the other side, and the purpose of them is actually for the wood, in this case here the cherry, to rest on inside. You don't want to have it sitting in the water where it's going to, the steam's eventually going to condensate and make its way down, because I got it on a bit of a pitch, and then drain out on the bottom. I have a hole underneath there, which will then drip into the pan below. So I'm going to show you, here's the this is the Rockler steamer that I've used. I've used it several other times on other projects, but I had a different steamer, and I had to make this one here because this one, my other steamer is too short to accommodate the length of this piece of wood. So I just made myself a real long, nice one, so I can use that also in the future. But anyways, so this is heating up right now. It's going to heat up to about 200 degrees, and the steam will travel through this plastic pipe here, comes up, feeds in here, and that hot steam is going to go inside the pipe there. That'll eventually be obviously around 200 degrees. It'll also condensate, but that'll drip down on the bottom here and then make its way down to the bottom and drip out. So I think if I leave it in there for maybe an hour, this is fairly thin, that should be plenty of time to allow me to bend the wood around the elliptical template that I showed you just previously. So I'm just waiting for it to heat up so I can open it up, feed it in, and then I'll do a time lapse so you can see what ends up happening as once I take it out. I got the steamer going. I don't know if you can tell, but the PVC pipe is actually bending. Oh my God. You can see, oh, look at that. And I had to prop this up here because this whole thing bent all the way down. Oh my God. And then the nozzle up here got all crooked. So it's holding up, but this is like a one and done deal. I should have went with the Schedule 40. I cheaped out and now I'm paying for it. Oh well. That's gonna be the strap that I'm gonna use to hold the that piece of cherry after I pull it out of the steamer here. Hold it in place for 24 hours. Here I had to recruit my wife to help me with this bending process here. I needed someone to turn it while I made sure everything was set in there snug. She loves coming down and help me out. But anyways, we got a good laugh out of it. But everything worked out well. I'm jumping around here a little bit. I need to turn 4 spindles to support the end table here, and this is the first time I'm actually turning, and this is a local club that I belong to, which is really helpful, so I don't have to buy a lathe to actually do this. All right, displaying some of my table saw because I had another project going on over there on the bench area. But anyways, these are the spindles that I turned at a organization that I belong to. It's really great place. I got people there with years and years of experience, so this is the first time me turning spindles like that. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the results. First time doing it. They're not obviously exactly the same, but As my wife says, it gives it character. So anyways, as you can see, so what ended up happening over here, I'd messed up with the end cap here. And so the way to save it is basically glue up some more cherry. And then what I'm going to do is drill with the Forster bit down through the center here. And then I'll be able to slide this in the cylinder section right here. And basically, from actually trying to, redoing the whole thing again. Even though the grain doesn't exactly match, it's still cherry, but it'll be fine. No one will be the wiser. But anyways, overall, very happy with it, and moving right along. So I'll be videotaping drilling this out and seeing how that fits. So fingers crossed everything works out well. All right, so I'm at a point now where I was contemplating whether to use the spindles, which I finished, and overall they came out pretty good, in my opinion, for first time turning, but they just don't look good on this table. I got to come up with something else, so I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I'll just show you. So I think these things are just too big, and the flow isn't right. It just doesn't look right. I mean, when you're considering the Mappa Burl on top and this nice cherry wrap that I got around it, it just doesn't flow right. So I'll save these, use it for some other project that I can work on. But I got to come up with something else, and I have no idea. I need something that's unique, because I want this piece to be a very unique piece that I'm building, something that you normally wouldn't see, in a store or anything like that. So that's what happens sometimes, and you just have to step away from it for a while. It's been like a week or so. I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. But I just wanted to show, originally I'd have all this video on making the spindles and all that stuff, and then the mistakes I made with that, and then in the end I'm not going to end up using it anyways, unfortunately. But that's the way it goes sometimes. So after 2.5 weeks of trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the legs to support this end table, I came up with something, and here I'm going through the process of cutting the angles of the for the legs. I think it's going to be really unique, and it's going to look so much better doing it this way than what I had with the spindles. But this was very tedious. I had to cut some angles. I have a jig here that cuts it at 30 and then at 60 degrees. And you'll see shortly how this all comes together. So now that I've cut all the pieces for the legs, now you need to glue the two sections together. I'm applying Type Bond 3 glue, but then you'll also see I'll use CA glue basically to hold it in place so that the regular glue can dry over a 24-hour period. So I have a total of 14 of these. I'm only going to need 12 of them that I'm going to use as legs, but just have 2 extra in case there's some issues with 2 of them. So just pressing it together for the CA to adhere, and then you can just leave them for 24 hours to dry. So the legs are all done. What I'm doing right now is, in order to secure it to the bottom of the tabletop, the end table, is I'm using my domino joiner to use a domino to attach the leg to the bottom section of the end table. So I want to talk real quickly what I'm doing here. So I'm obviously gluing it up, and also I'm using some CA glue. And what I'm doing is, I got these all numbered so I know exactly where they go. Filling the inserts that I did here with my domino joiner, and I'm just putting glue in there and doing a little CA glue so it holds it into place so it doesn't pivot. But I'm also putting a very, very small brad nail over here in the front just to secure it so it'll dry. Within 24 hours this thing will be solid. So I got halfway through, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 5 more left to do out of the 12. So it's going pretty well. And the tedious part is taping it up. I found out after doing the first one, I had, glue all over the place here. I'll have to sand this really well. But this way, by taping it up, it's taking a little bit longer, but it's worth it in the end, because then, as you can see, I peel away the tape, and then it's a lot easier cleanup. So I'll show you. I'm going to do a glue up, or I'm sorry, a tape up on this one here, and then record again, and then so you get an idea. All right, this is what I was talking about. So basically, I set this in place. Obviously, once the domino's in there, and then I run tape around the edge here, and then this way I can plop all the glue in there, hit it with the CA glue to secure that, and then hit it with a brad nail up front. I'll obviously, it's hard to see, maybe I just move it over here. So it's a real small brad nail. I'll fill that in and fill it in with putty. So just going through all of them, and then obviously let it set for 24 hours. Okay, we're wrapping it up right here. Nothing's been applied, no stain or anything, but this is everything completed at this point. All right, be posting the video probably in a week or two, but these are the legs. So this is from the narrow end because it's elliptical shape. Much better design in my opinion. And then from the elongated side, it looks like this. So, yeah, like I said, I'll have the video how I made it and all the headaches I had with it. There's a little glare there from the... Okay, that's better. So here we're looking at the bottom section of the end table. And obviously this is the top. So what I did is I used Osmo for the cherry. So the legs are cherry and the wrap around the edges is also cherry. But I use water-based polyurethane for the top so that the color doesn't change as much. So overall, very happy with the results.
Well, you made it through the entire video. Thank you. If you can do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe, I'd very much appreciate that. And leave a comment. Let me know what you liked about the project and also on the video, so I can improve on the next one that I produce. Thank you so much. Bye.